friends, and welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 50 years and 2 months ago, NBC aired the next episode of the classic Star Trek show. It was called Turnabout Intruder, and these are my honest opinions about it. So, we're here. The final episode. Oh, Star Trek, how deeply you have fallen. During the 3 years it was on air, it went from one of the best sci-fi shows on television to a completely random monster of the week type of show. It went from having the smart and thought-provoking plots to having a Scooby-Doo level of mystery. It went from stories taking place in a completely egalitarian society to open sexism and discrimination. Why do I say that? Well, this episode starts with our typical trio, Kirk, Spock and McCoy, answering a distress call coming from an archaeological expedition. All of the members of the expedition are dying of radiation, with the exception of the leader, Dr. Janice Lester, who is dying of radiation. But she's not with her man, because she's the boss, I guess. Janice is of course Kirk's old girlfriend from the academy days, because of course she is. She's a woman, which in 90% of the episodes means that she was his girlfriend, or she will become one. And we get to the first sexist bit. She left the academy because women can't be captains of a starship. As I said many times on this channel, I'm much closer to the anti-feminist side of YouTube than to the pro-feminist side, but even I have a serious problem with blatant discrimination like this. Why couldn't they kick her out of the academy because they found out that she has some mental problems or something like that? She is lying on her bed, pretending to sleep or to be unconscious. The dying man suddenly screams from somewhere off screen, so Dr. Coleman, Janice's assistant, takes Dr. McCoy and Spock to them, leaving Kirk alone with an unconscious Janice Lester. Why? Because the plot demands it. So Kirk starts to explore the room, where he sees a strange machine. Janice immediately jumps off the bed, activates the machine. Captain Kirk gets trapped by it. She steps next to him and something really dumb happens. Now, this is one of the biggest problems I have with this episode. I was growing up in a Catholic family, but and I never was a religious person, not even, a spiritual person. I was always the nerdy science guy in our family. That's probably why I work in IT and why I love science fiction. I also like the idea of the existence of things like ghosts or spirits. I mean, I love watching shows like Ghost Hunters. I always found them very entertaining, but there is one problem. I could never take them seriously. I don't believe in the existence of ghosts or spirits or anything like that. I'm not saying they definitely don't exist. I'm saying that I will believe that they exist when I meet one. That's also one of the differences between a fairy tale and science fiction. A science fiction story is always grounded in reality, on believable scientific principles. Just one example, the warp drive. Physics tells us that it's possible to warp space. So even if right now we have absolutely no clue how to warp it, it's enough for me to believe that sometimes in the future they might find out how to do it. Therefore, I can take the idea of a ship warping the space to fly faster than light seriously. But this episode forces me to take seriously that spirits are real and that they can switch bodies, which I can't, and that's the main premise of the episode. So even if the writing was good, which is not, I would have a huge problem with the story. So yes, this is what happens. Kirk and Lester switched bodies, so until the end I will use the terms fake Kirk to describe the ghost of Janice Lester in the body of James T. Kirk, and fake Lester to describe the ghost of James T. Kirk in the body of Janice Lester. So, fake Kirk puts the unconscious fake Lester back to the bed and tries to strangle him. Strangle her? Wow, what's the correct pronouns for the two of them? I don't really know, but fake Kirk wants to kill fake Lester because it's better to be dead than to live as a woman, which is a real line in a Star Trek script. I wish I was making it up. I don't know if this is the writer being honest, or if we should assume that this is what a mentally ill mind of Janice thinks, but I want to slap somebody. Anyway, the rest of the men return before the strangling can happen. So, wait, what was Janice's plan again? To get Jim Kirk into the body-swapping machine, she had to kill her man, but do it so slowly that the Enterprise crew can arrive. Then she needed to make sure that the man will scream at the correct time. Then she had to make sure that Kirk will go to look at the machine, and that he won't fight her, and that the Enterprise crew will return after she manages to kill Kirk in her body? Am I the only one who finds this kind of dumb? Anyway, the killing couldn't continue, which means that fake Kirk now wants to take Dr. Coleman and fake Lester to the ship and bring them to a colony, hoping that she will get a chance to kill him later. And this is the episode. Fake Lester tries to wake up and persuade the others that she is Kirk. Meanwhile, fake Kirk tries to hold on the power, and that way she behaves more suspiciously. The first thing fake Kirk does is putting the care of fake Lester into the hands of Dr. Coleman and keeping her sedated. But of course, fake Kirk manages to escape and wants to talk to Spock and McCoy, but fake Kirk arrests her. Because of his strange behavior, McCoy forces fake Kirk to undergo a complete medical exam. Meanwhile, Spock goes to talk to fake Lester. She talks about their previous adventures from earlier this season, which is great. I like when they keep a proper continuity. But as Spock said, these things were all reported to Starfleet, which means that she could read them. So they mind meld, and only after that Spock starts to believe that this woman is actually Kirk. After he helps her out of the prison, they get caught by fake Kirk again. So now we hold a court-martial, because that's what they do in the good episodes, right? Spock is accused of mutiny, and fake Kirk wants to have him executed, but nobody likes the idea. Scotty and McCoy decide to stop fake Kirk, whoever he is, not knowing that they are being recorded. So of course, when they get back to the courtroom, they are also accused of mutiny, and fake Kirk wants to execute them immediately. Which of course means that even the rest of the bridge crew refuses to cooperate. So fake Kirk and Coleman decide to kill fake Lester, Spock, McCoy and Scotty immediately themselves. But fake Lester attacks fake Kirk and they switch bodies without any machine. So the machine was never actually necessary, I guess. Whatever real Lester in her own body now breaks into crying, and Coleman tries to comfort her. And this is the end of the episode, of the season and of the series. Kind of lame. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. I love Shatner's acting in this episode, just like I love the performance of the leading lady. In most of the scenes I really believe that she is Kirk. I don't think I have seen Sandra Smith, that's her name, anywhere else, but she did a great job. She was perfect for this role. Shatner is perfect for this too. I absolutely believe that he is an insane woman pretending to be Captain Kirk. Both of them had to play basically two characters at the same time, which is extremely hard, and not only that, Shatner was also ill. There are these insane stories about how he had to lay down between takes and how he could barely stand on his feet during the shooting. I also like the continuity. We see Kirk on the sickbay machine, which we have seen for the first time in the first shot episode, the Corbomite maneuver. Kirk in Lester's body also mentions their previous adventures, which is great. So that's basically all of the good things. The bad? Well, basically everything else. I can't take the premise of this story seriously, and the story itself is pretty boring, not to mention how really sexist this whole thing is. The ugly? Well, let's just say one thing. The animation of the switching process looks like it was taken from a Scooby-Doo cartoon. Overall, on my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 2 out of 10. I honestly consider it to be one of the worst episodes of classic Star Trek. And it's a shame that this is the last episode of classic Star Trek, and for many years it was the last story of the franchise. Thankfully, a few years later they continued the franchise, first as a cartoon, and later they continued with the movies. I have covered the animated series 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, and I'm working on the movies right now, but those will be done in a completely different format, so it will take some time. And the next week I'm continuing my coverage of the second season of Star Trek The Next Generation, and I'm also working on videos for a different channel, so yes, I'm still working for you guys, but until then, thank you very much for watching, and see you in a couple of days. Bye.